Hey, and good evening, everybody. It's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. Hope everybody's doing really well today. This has been a crazy day, guys. I'll tell you, it has been more than crazy. I don't know if we call it crazy. It's probably been the most, intense week that I've had in quite a long time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the break. But today we're going to talk about the week that was, shutdown week. The week that was fighting week. The week that is right before the most consequential election in American history. Yeah. We're going to talk about the race that could actually change the face of America. All that and more as we come back. When we come back, folks, this is gonna freak you out. This is Pastor Sherman Ray. We'll be back with more In God We Still Trust. Well, welcome back, folks. It's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust, the podcast. Yeah, we come to you once a week, do a little wrap-up of what's going on in the world. There's an incredible amount of things that have gone on this week, and if you've missed it, this is the show that you wanna view, because it will get you caught up. We'll get you caught up on some of the craziest things that have happened this week, and how we as Christians. We as believers, people who, believe in God, should be reacting to this whole thing. It's just this has been amazing. The first story, many of you know about it already. It happened Monday, and it happened in my home country of Jamaica. And there was a Category 5 hurricane that hit the Caribbean, and Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba. When it hit Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa, when it hit Monday, that it was a Category 5 that hit Jamaica, and literally 70% of the island without power, 70% of the country is decimated. It was the most horrific thing you've ever seen. I mean, it's not even like it was. This was worse than anything you can imagine. Can you imagine the most beautiful tropical place that you can find on God's green earth, the closest one to our homeland here in the United States, that a hurricane packing winds of 185 miles an hour, maybe some even higher than that, just comes ripping right through the island. Jamaica took the brunt of this, and literally hospitals, roads, infrastructure were all knocked out. As I said before, we saw just widespread flooding, and it's not over yet, because once it left Jamaica, it went on to Cuba and then went to Haiti. It was downgraded, yes, but no less destructive was this. I don't know, what would you call it? It's probably one of the worst things that could ever happen to a nation. Here's the thing about it, though, folks, and if there's a bright spot in this whole thing. We had organizations like Samaritan's Purse, there's so many other organizations that went to Jamaica as quick as they could, chartered planes, boats, anything they could do to get down there to help with the relief effort. And it's funny, I never heard any Democrats running down the halls of Congress saying, well, we need to do something for Jamaica. We need to go out there and make sure that things are going great for Jamaica. No, what you saw is a lot of Christians running out there, raising money, doing whatever they could to make sure that whatever we could supply there got there as quickly as we could. Heavy equipment, food, water. And so we're going to do our part too. We have a smaller nonprofit that we're going to be organizing relief funds for Jamaica also, and for Haiti. Haiti has been decimated for decades, literally decades. But Jamaica, on on the other hand, is one of the most, if not the number one tourist destination for Americans outside of America. And it's not Hawaii, folks. It's Jamaica, and a place that has brought us things like Bob Marley, reggae, culture. Many of the things that you do today, guys, are Jamaican. So you wouldn't know, but you got your stuff from Jamaica, and we've got a lot of people who just turn their backs on Jamaica. So this is something we've got to do as a nation, as opposed to fighting about this immigration battle that should never happen. We need to begin to really work on our neighbors and to help our neighbors out. This is a catastrophic thing. This wasn't like Jamaica went out and tried to do something on their own. It was just a horrific accident that happened. Yeah. We'll be back in just a second, folks. I'm going to get a little bit of something to drink. We'll be back with a little bit more, and we'll start talking about some other things that have happened here in America on the next section of In God We Still Trust and Pastor Sherman Ray. We're back in just a second. Alrighty, I am back, and this is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the broadcast, because there's a lot of people who watch the broadcast, and they're saying, "Hey, Sherman, we love what you're doing. We love all the great information that you give us," and so I'm very excited about that. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can write to us. You can write to us at In God We Still Trust 1 at gmail.com. That's In God We Still Trust 1 at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can actually go to our website, which is actually our GodstreamTV channel, and that's godwestilltrust.org, godwestilltrust.org, and it'll take you right to our channel. So get right there, and you can check us all out. So very excited about that. Also, Instagram, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. If you just want to listen to us, it'd be great. Okay, and of course you can always check us out on Facebook. Follow us all day long, that kind of stuff. Well, folks, this was probably one of the most strenuous weeks for most American workers, especially if you're a federal worker. We are going into the 5th week. We just ended the 5th week of one of the longest, if not the longest, government shutdown on record. And this is affecting air traffic controllers, SNAP benefits, federal workers all across the fruited plain. If you work in a national park, it's affecting you. Everybody. So Washington is barreling into its 5th week of government shutdown, despite a handful of payday deadlines for federal workers fast approaching. There's been little progress made towards turning the lights on. And here's the issue we've got, folks. You've got Democrats on this side, you've got Republicans on this side, both saying that we've got your best interest at heart. In the past, they've signed what they call continuing resolutions, okay, CR, okay, continuing resolutions. What these continuing resolutions are is they say that we are going to continue the government as it is. Nothing's changed. We're not going to add anything. We're not going to take away anything. And we're going to keep the government open so that we can work on these issues that we have between us over the next few weeks. And Democrats and Republicans have voted on these for, decades, and never been a continuing resolution that they've not passed. And even this last one was already passed by Democrats. And they said, yeah, well, sure, we're going to vote for that. We're going to keep the government open because we've got some issues we want to talk about. Oh, and then all of a sudden, Chuck Schumer got caught heck from his party. They said, well, why would you sign a continuing resolution when we didn't get anything out of it? And Chuck's going, well, that's because that's what we always do. We work on the stuff that we want later. There's a new breed of Democrat that is in office right now, and I think you need to understand this. You've got people like Rashida Tlaib, you've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you've got people like this woman down in Texas. I forgot her name now. Gosh, she's just evil. Some evil folks. They are staunch leftists, staunch socialists, staunch, anarchists, and they want things that are they want things that they're not going to get signed into law without a negotiation. And this is what they wanted. There were some provisions under Obamacare that were due to sunset at the end of this year. And those provisions that were agreed upon and signed into legislation years ago, the Democrats did not take advantage of the time when they were in office to try to shore these things up. And so at the end of this year, those things are going to sunset. And now Democrats are saying, well, we want those put into this continuing resolution. We want to make sure those things get into a continuing resolution but because we screwed up. And Republicans are going, no, we're not going to put anything in this. We're going to go with everything the way if you want those Obamacare provisions put in, then we can talk about that later. But we're not going to talk about it right now. We're going to keep the government open right now as it is. We're not giving any new spending. We made a promise to the American people that we weren't going to put anything new in, and we're not going to do it. And Democrats go, well, we don't like that. As a matter of fact, we've got some other provisions that we want to put in to this continuing resolution that will give money to illegal aliens too for their health care. And the Republicans are going, I don't think so. We're not doing any of that stuff. Sign the continuing resolution that you agreed to before, and we can talk about all this stuff down the road, but we're not going to do this now. Democrats say, no, we're not going to do that. Shut down the government. Wow. And now, 5 weeks later, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has come up to the Democrats time in and time out. Let's vote on this. Let's keep the government open. Democrats say, no, we're not going to do this. We are not going to open up the government until you give us more money to do this and to do that. And Republicans are going, no, we're not going to do any of that stuff. You open the government, we'll talk about this stuff. We're more than happy to talk to you about this stuff. But we are not going to saddle the American people with more burdens than we can handle. And now, folks, we are we'll be going into week number 6. As of this show right now, we'll be going into week number 6. SNAP benefits are due to expire or to stop. Excuse me. They're due to stop here on Monday. They're due to stop here on Monday. You've got people already saying that they are going to go raiding stores, and they're going to do whatever they can to feed their families. Literally 40 million Americans. This is a lot. 40 million Americans depend upon SNAP benefits or some kind of benefit from the federal government. And Democrats are saying, well, sorry, we're for the people, and but we're not gonna budge on this. Now, there was a judge on another note. There was a judge, and the judge said, you know what, Mr. President, you've got some emergency monies that you can use to go ahead and to feed these people. And the president is saying, no, we cannot use those emergency funds because that's what they're for. They're for emergencies. If there ever should be a flood or a hurricane or something like that is going to decimate America, we can dip into those funds, but we can't just dip into those funds because you've got Democrats who are refusing to open up the government. So, folks, we're in quite a pickle. This is not a little bit of things. These are pretty big things, and I just don't know if we're gonna be able to turn the corner. Also, on on the note about these SNAP benefits, I'm gonna see if I can pull this up. Let's see. Former Senator Brown said something to Newsmax, and he says that Democrats knew exactly what they were doing here. This is an interesting story. Let me see if I can pull this up. It says former Senator Brown to Newsmax, Dems planned snap laps and tried to blame the GOP. Democrats knew exactly when federal food assistance extensions were set to expire, but let them lapse so they could blame Republicans for the fallout. Former Senator Scott Brown told Newsmax. That was just earlier this month, or just this week. Here's what they're playing, guys. Democrats are playing a very dangerous game here. You've got people who depend upon these benefits to live. You've got, these are not like these folks can go out and get a job tomorrow, because some of them are pregnant. Some of them are widows. Some of them are, women who cannot afford to do this stuff. And Democrats are saying, we don't care. We don't care about any of that stuff. We're going to blame the Republicans. And they're playing a very, very dangerous game. They really are. Let's take a real quick break here, folks. This is Pastor Sherman Ray. This is In God We Still Trust. We'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, and we are back, folks. It's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I hope you guys are doing great today. I want to let you guys know we actually just opened up a church, a new church location today. I'm very excited about that. We're over at, if you're in Las Vegas and you're familiar with Las Vegas, there was a great school that has a performing arts center, and so we just went in there. So I'm very excited about that. So. Thank you so much for those folks over at Garside Middle School that were able to let us in, which were great. Having a little bit of difficulty here with my computer here, but we will push on. I don't know if you saw this story. This story is about Bill Gates and what he did. This was crazy. Matter of fact, Bill Gates kind of pivoted. Pivoted on his stance on climate change. This is a Fox News story. It says Bill Gates pivots climate strategy to focus on poverty over carbon emissions reduction. This is interesting. So Bill Gates is calling for a change in the fight against climate change by shifting the focus away from reducing carbon emissions to fighting poverty and preventing disease and hunger. This is interesting. In an essay published Monday, Gates, who had long published... Oh, sorry about that. Let me get some. Yeah, there we go. In an essay published Monday, Gates, who's long pushed for policies to limit the rise in temperatures, said resources should be diverted to improve life in warming parts of the world and improving the lives of the people there. Climate change, disease, and poverty are all major problems, Gates wrote, but we should deal with them in proportion to the suffering they cause. Wow, you think? This is interesting, folks. This is something we've been talking about for a while now, is that these climate zealots, and there are climate zealots out there, they all basically say, hey guys, we don't care if it hurts you, if it hurts, these people that are living in this part of the world, or it hurts our nation, you should, change everything you've got in order to do this. And so we, folks who, we call it common sense, it's common sense conservatism, said, no, we shouldn't do that kind of stuff, because guess what? You're going to hurt people in the way you do this. People who right now cannot get off of fossil fuels, guess what? They can't afford an $80,000, Tesla. They can't afford cellular cell, battery cell for this. We've got to be a little bit more common sense about this. We can't put a windmill in everybody's backyard. Well, Bill Gates started to get it. He's starting to get on track with this too, so that's very cool. I think this is a great thing that he's done. So, so there was another story, folks. I got to get this. I'm sorry. I want you to really excuse me because I'm looking over here to another screen here. But having some technical difficulties here. There was also, many of you know that the the President Biden, former President Joe Biden, the whole dust up, the whole hoopla about his auto pen. There was a report that was actually open. There was an investigation and a report that was started over this thing, and it finally came out on Tuesday. This was interesting. It says House Oversight Republicans released a report Tuesday which details their investigation and their findings and appeared to confirm long-held suspicions about former President Joe Biden's mental and physical decline during his term, as well as allegations that his aides exercised presidential authority without direct involvement or awareness of this guy. It's a 93-page report entitled The Biden Auto Pen Presidency, Decline, Delusion, Deception in the White House. Oh, that sounds... Led by James Comer, draws over 47 hours of depositions and 14 former Biden officials. This was scathing, guys. It was just scathing. And basically what they came up with is they said that Joe Biden did not know what he was doing. It didn't matter what, KJP came out on her book tour and said, oh no, he knew what he was doing. I didn't notice a difference. It didn't matter what Kamala Harris said, where she was basically standing up and saying, oh, he's doing just righteous, he's doing great. No, these people are basically saying, oh no, Joe Biden had no idea what he was doing. And they look at all the auto pen signatures that were out there, and it confirmed the fact that this guy was not there mentally. He might have been there physically during the time he was there, but mentally he was not there. And that should once again give us a cause to pause and think about this, folks, that we're allowing, and we're going to talk about this in this next section, okay, because this is important, that we have a country, a republic that needs to be taken care of. It's the only one of its kind, and we need to protect it. And in our next section, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, guys, because we're about to, in the state of New York, they're going to elect a guy who fundamentally will change what America looks like. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. Our next section of In God We Still Trust. This is Pastor Sherman Ray. We'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, and I'm back, folks. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust, the podcast. So I want to thank you all for being a part of this, and hope that you're getting something out of what's going on. We don't have a lot of time left, folks, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what is going to happen starting in the next week or so, where people are going to, if they're not careful, they're going to elect a man to office in the state of New York that will fundamentally change the direction of America. That man, his name is Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran Mamdani is a self-described democratic socialist. And if you look on their website, a democratic socialist is actually just a socialist. They're a socialist that uses the Democrat Party and the Democrat system to get what they want. So he's a socialist, folks. And right now, he's running for mayor of New York City. So what does that have to do with you or I? If I live in Des Moines or I live in Las Vegas, wherever I live at? Well, New York City is the most influential state in our union, save California. It is basically the banking center of the United States. It is the most known city in all of the United States, and it carries with it a lot of influence. Zohran Mamdani is probably going to win the mayor's election in that state. You say, well, how can this guy who's a self-described Democrat socialist, how can he win this election? Well, let me go a little bit more than this, okay? Not only is he a Democrat socialist, but he's a Muslim, okay? And some of you are saying, well, what's wrong with being a Muslim? There's a lot to do with wrong with being a Muslim in the country of the United States. The whole idea of being an Islamist, okay, not just a Muslim, but an Islamist, meaning that you don't like the way America is being run. You want to rebrand America, and you want to influence America with Muslim and Islamist practices, Sharia law. One of the things that Zohran Mamdani says we Muslims are tired of sitting and being second-class citizens in America. Well, it's not your second-class citizen in America, because you're lucky, because if we were in Iran, we wouldn't even be second-class citizens. We might be dead. In any other country, you could be in India, we'd be dead if you're a Christian. In America, in India, in China, you're dead. In America, we give you so many rights and privileges and freedoms that you will never extend to us if we were in your country. So don't act like you're a second-class citizen. I take umbrage to that. I mean, I really take offense to that. So Zohran Mamdani says that he's tired of Muslims taking the second-class seat. What's going to happen when he becomes mayor of New York? He's going to push a Muslim agenda. There's no doubt about it. And why is that? Is because the people of New York City have given him a mandate. They said, yes, we want what you're selling, buddy. The same way Barack Obama, the same way he said, I'm going to fundamentally change America, and people didn't listen to him when he said that. He said, I'm going to change your country. If you vote for me, I'm going to change your country. And people go, yes, hope and change. Yes, hope and change. And that's exactly what happened, folks. You got Obamacare. You got long waiting lines now at your doctor's office. You got high drug prices. You got out of control spending. You got all this stuff because the people of America, half of America, said, yes, that's what we want. And now New York City, guys. Once that happens in New York, it is going to spread across the nation. Mark my words, guys. The Nation of Islam wants to take over America from within. They are not happy with just, hanging out in America. They're not happy with that. They want to take over America. They know they cannot do it by the sword. Okay, they know they can't come in with a bomb or anything. They know they can't win that way. But they can use our laws. They can use our naivete. They can use people who they're not even paying attention to politics. They're not paying attention to the culture. They're not paying attention to anything. They're paying attention to TikTok. Frankly, that's what they're listening to. That's what Mamdani is. He's a TikTok star. The guy's never even had a legitimate job in his life. And he is going to become the mayor of the most densely populated city in America, the most powerful city in America. And folks, Monday, that is going to start. And what does he do? He just kind of smiles about it. And people go, yeah, we like that. Now, the alternative here is, Cuomo, who is no better. I mean, he's no better of a candidate. Curtis Sliwa, who is a Republican, is also in the race. He probably has no chance of winning at all. So you've got some issues here. Either you vote for the Democrat socialist, who is a socialist. He's a communist socialist. He's going to change. Or you vote for Cuomo, who we already know what he's going to do. Okay, you already know what he's going to do. Is he a better choice? I would say no. Is Schliewa a better choice? I would say he can't win because there are too many Democrats in the state of New York or in the city of New York. He can't win, okay? So you've only got one choice, folks, and that is not to allow Zohran Mamdani win because he's going to change your city. And then when he changes your city, they're going after our world. They're going after America. Now, you might be able to do whatever you can to try to slow this guy down, but guys, come Monday, which is just in a few hours, New York City has got choices to make. And you've got a lot of people who are just, I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm not going to call you stupid. Ignorant. I'll just say you're ignorant. You don't know what you're voting for. And if you did, you're doing it on purpose. And you want America to not be the city on the hill. You don't want it to be that shining light. You don't want it to be that beacon of hope for the rest of the world. You want it to be like London is, okay? London has had the same mayor of London for 10 years, over a decade now, and his name is something Khan, and he has changed London like you wouldn't believe. He's a Muslim, and he's taken a city that was a British town, and he's turned it into something that people in Britain are going, what is going on in our city? That's what is going to happen in New York City. Anyways, folks, we're running overtime. We're overtime now. But I want to encourage you once again, folks. I think we're going to be starting to do the broadcast because I'm having a real problem trying to get in at 12 o'clock for the show on Sundays at noon. So we're going to move it back to Sundays at 3 o'clock Pacific time. That'll be 6 o'clock Eastern time. That you'll get the show in your mailbox. If you'd like, once again, if you'd like to get this, and you just can't wait for it, guys, go to GodWeStillTrust.org, GodWeStillTrust.org, and there the show will be up there, okay? And that's our GodstreamTV channel, and you can check out all the shows. We've got all the shows up there right now, plus so much more. Our YouTube channel, of course, is up on Facebook, Instagram, X, everything else like that. Anyways, I want to thank you guys. I really do. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. Please, you folks in New York, think about what you're voting for. Okay, think about what you're voting for, because once you allow this guy in, things are going to get ugly. This is Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.